But you're
from
making a
the
huge assumption saying that United States is the only place they can go.
Leo, learn geography. Like that
Like,
is.
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just pushing
No,
back.
and I'm pushing back at the fact that there's literally no other viable option around for someone that comes from Central America.
Hello and welcome to the Yet to Be Named podcast. I'm Anthony.
I am Dre Santos.
And I'm Leo D'Souza.
And we are on episode
7.
7.
Yes!
7 is the lucky number.
Yes.
I mean, if you enter our sweepstakes, no, we don't have.
You're not gonna win anything.
We're going to sell some gift cards. Subscribe down below and comment and then click the link down below that's not there. Yeah!
That means that we're halfway through season 1.
Yes.
Pretty exciting things.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
pretty
wait, I
exciting.
thought
Can
10
you
divided
believe?
by 2 equals 5.
No, but some genius decided that the first episode will actually be 0, and then that the
Everybody's
third episode will be
episode
2.5.
is 0.
No, not
No.
Star
Look,
Wars.
yes,
Not
it's
Star
0.
Wars.
It
It
starts
is
at
not.
0. It was at first it was called Star Wars, and that was it. Okay.
God.
Yeah, exactly. So there was.
We're
no,
actually gonna
there
have
was no
12
episode.
episodes in this season. It is what it
Yes.
is. Bonus for you guys. So, yeah.
But that means that we're gonna have a very awesome topic, which means that it's gonna be very nice. And so the very nice topic is: do you guys like camping? I like camping. Do you like camping?
Oh, no. No,
I'm sure
no,
you
no.
guys heard about the Trump camps, and we're gonna talk about it today for your entertainment, and it's gonna be
No.
fantabulous.
No,
It's
no,
Trump.
no.
Is
Oh,
Trump the
God.
next Nazi daddy that's bringing all of them peoples camping with him?
He's getting all the
Why-
children
why-
around.
No.
Why are we laughing about this? This is
But-
not
This
good.
is not,
This is not.
not funny.
But to make this, but to make the.
This just went off rails so easy. This is
But
what
to
happens. This is
desensitize
what
it.
happens
I think you
when
guys
you
had one
record
too many-
2 episodes in one day.
Look,
I think you guys
we
had too
all
many
have
beers
to.
from the previous episode.
Too many beers. All right, but before we start on that, of course, we have a beer of the week, and today we have something really different for you. Then what is it?
I am
Dre?
very, very, very excited about this.
Wait, how
Very.
excited are you?
Very, very, very excited about
Very.
this. Very excited. I don't know what's going on anymore. We just it's fun. Anyways, this is the very first. Look how beautiful this bottle is. It's a very tall, big boy bottle.
Wait, is this the very first bottle we're having?
Actually, it is. It is also our
It
very, very first bottle right here.
We legit went from 0 to 100 with that.
I know. But this is actually our very first Lambic blend sour ale. Man, so many words that we have never heard of.
Or
so,
said.
Lambic.
I've heard sour before.
Sour. All right, let's go through parts. Lambic. Lambic means that...
Came from a lamb.
No, that it is...
It can speak lamb.
It is an ale that is aged in oak barrels.
Nice.
Oof. All right. Sour means that it is intentionally tart and sour beer. Why the fuck would anybody do that? I don't know, but we're going to try this
Look,
beer.
do you like your mustard in your beer? Who knows? Let's find out now.
Cue in the cricket sounds. All right, but the point is,
Yes,
this
there is
is
a
a
point.
very, very, very,
Very nice.
very
Very.
new different beer, and we're opening it right now. I want to open this, and I'm very excited. Oh boy, how do you open this? It's like a cork, like champagne.
Take cover.
I'm gonna shoot it right at Leo.
Wait, no.
All right, our producer.
We're gonna slowly
is
open
going
that.
to.
My
is going
my
to open it.
floor is very
All right,
slow.
open
no,
it up,
very slow,
producer.
very slow, very slow,
Oh God.
very slow.
No, do not.
no,
Don't shake it.
Oh, we have no
Don't
very slow, very yeah. There we go. Yeah, you pop that top off right there.
That is what producers are for. Opening bottles.
Yeah, he pops the top of the cork.
He's struggling. Ooh.
Blew him out of the waters right there. All right. Yeah, we're gonna. Don't no sound. I don't want to hear it.
No cheating.
No cheating.
Okay. All
With,
right.
like,
So let's start pouring this.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we totally forgot. This beer is called Roos.
Yeah. Can you actually explain?
It is brewed in Belgium, but it is imported by a local
I don't get it.
brewery. It's imported by a local brewery, and like I said, it's our very first sour beer. Sour beers are interesting.
All right. Visually speaking, a lot more foam on the top.
Yeah. That's actually so true.
Yeah. And
It's very hazy. You can
Yeah.
barely see through
it's
it.
dark, kind of dark.
Don't you see like a slight pinkish tint? I'd like to say.
Are you sure that's your own hands?
Kind of girly, in a sense. I'm just kidding.
It's very reminiscent of the Night Shift beer, the what's it called Buzz IPA.
I
The
really
color.
do think there's a little bit of pink.
All right, so let's smell it. Let's take a whiff.
Smell it.
Oh boy.
What?
Oh boy.
What is that? What on earth is
Strong,
that?
a much
Oh,
stronger
boy.
smell from.
What is that?
If the last beer was like an ordinary beer that you'd have any other day, this one's amplified version of that.
Amplified? I don't even know.
What the fuck does it smell like?
It smells like feet, man. It's like some type of fungus you find on
No
the-
one is ever
between the
going to
toes.
sponsor us if we keep describing
like-
beer
Please
in
sponsor
negative.
us,
Yeah,
Ruse.
I think beer, obviously, like no, beer is beer. Then they have like a commonality. So it's kind of like that same fermentation smell that you.
No, this it smells something different. I've smelled
Okay.
this in my childhood before.
I
It's
feel-
bringing me back
Yeah.
to my old days when I used to wander around Brazil barefoot.
And that's why you wore the Brazil shirt, so I
Same
can say
here.
that. All right, hold on. I can smell a little bit of a bubble gum kind of smell.
No, Anthony, where
I
do you
don't
get
know.
these?
I don't know.
Look,
right.
bubble gum.
All right, we're
is
having
an actual smell
because
all
we're
right?
having a hard time coming up with adjectives for how this beer
It
smells.
doesn't even smell tardy.
Let's just go for a taste test.
Let's take a taste.
Oh God.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
I don't know if it's.
You have to go for a second sip.
I got like dizzy from drinking.
Dizzy?
Like, hold on, let me try that again.
This is the first time that Leo says, "Hold on, let me try this again."
know.
We're drinking it again. Wow.
Okay, so
Basically, it's like Sour Patch Kids made into a drink.
Huh.
no,
Very sour, like kind of like sour
just
candy.
sour.
Like the sour like you get from a candy.
That is true. There is no specific taste.
It's just sour.
There's no specific taste to this. It's just it just tastes sour. Look, Leo is drinking the whole thing. Oh boy.
he really likes.
I
this one.
think we might have found a beer that Leo enjoys. And I
Yes,
swore,
this
I
is an
thought that
actual
this
beer.
would be the beer that just made you like quit trying beers.
It doesn't have the bitter taste, the aftertaste of most beers.
It's gone.
It's just sour. It's just
It's
sour.
sour.
The sour takes over.
It's very
Yeah.
smooth. The beginning is smooth. It goes. I thought the beginning was very smooth.
I think what you're thinking is that because there's a lot of carbonation, that the beginning is like it's easier to taste because the carbonation's like helping you,
yeah.
and then afterwards it's like here's some fucking sour, yeah.
But it's not overbearing. I've had other. Okay, to be honest, I've had other sour beers that taste like vomit. That really bad sour, and this is a very pleasant sour.
you know what that thing makes me think of is the farmhouse ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never had a farmhouse. I've never had a farmhouse one. But
Yeah.
all right, Leo. Out of 5, what would you rate Ruse Lambic Blend Sour Ale?
This isn't I think this is a beer. Maybe I'd have just to switch things up every once in a while, but it's not something I'd have on a regular basis. Um, I'll give it a solid. I'll give it a solid 3.
Wow.
A 3.
Is this the highest?
The highest I've rated a beer. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
3.
don't be deceived. Not all sour ales are made alike.
Yeah. I'm learning that the hard way.
Yeah, no, like it's
Yeah.
Don't
So Anthony,
make that mistake.
what score would you give it?
Okay, I want to say 2.
2?
Yeah, it's good, but it's not. It's like I don't know. I don't even think it's like that great, that fantastic. I'm just not a type of person that really likes or enjoys sour ales, I guess. So what I'm saying is like I'm just a biased version of this, and like this, I just don't like sour too much.
I would say I give this, ready, drum roll.
What is this going to be, a high rating?
I give this a 4 out of 5. Yes. I very much enjoy sour beers.
Edit in the confetti.
And I very much enjoy the taste. To me, it was smooth. The carbonation is just right. The sour taste is just right. Everything is great.
Yeah, I mean, the carbonation does help a lot. That's the whole idea. Is like, and then when you're smelling it, it's like a totally different smell to the taste.
Yes.
So it's just like remember when you tried when we smelled the buzz, we're like, whoa, this actually smells pretty good. And we
Like
tasted it, and we're like,
pineapple.
whoa, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
And then like nothing like pineapple.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Ruse Lambic Blend Sour Ale. And pretty good beer all around, except for Anthony. Anthony really he doesn't like sour beers.
I really don't like sour
But
beers.
I mean, we did get Leo's highest rated beer, and that's pretty important right there. Wow, good job, Leo. Good job of breaking the 2-star barrier. Good job. A round of applause for Leo.
Yeah.
It's a proud moment. It's a proud moment for Leo. Very good, very good. All right, and we'll be right back with our topic of the day. Is Trump a Nazi?
Welcome back. We're now going to get right into our topic, and
Is Trump a Nazi?
is
That's
Why-
legit.
why-
That's
why
legit
are
what
we
people
ma-
are saying, though.
Why
yeah,
we making
people
light
are
of
pretty
this?
much saying that though.
We're making this into a joke.
So yeah, but where did this start though? Leo, you were the one who was proposing the whole topic, but where did this whole Trump camp start?
I don't think that was me. That was Achula, our producer.
Our producer?
Yes,
What do you mean?
Achula came.
Wait, what was the question?
No, but
the
either way.
the topic came from Achula.
Yeah, but you wrote
so
the questions, right?
what actually happened is that I was going on Twitter,
Yeah.
seeing what was trending, and one of the things that was trending was hashtag Trump camps, and I was like,
Oh,
what,
yeah,
what
yeah,
is
now I remember.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should put a parentheses on that. The Trump camps. Because if you can fact check me on this, Nick. Trump camp the camps that's going on at the border has been happening way before Trump.
Mhm.
In fact, it's been happening under Obama. And if I remember statistics correctly, Obama is responsible for more deportations than any president in history. So, like this
Now,
attack.
interesting.
so thus far, but one of the things that we would have to take a look at the numbers is when people say that Obama is the deporter in chief, it's taking in the numbers of his 8 years of presidency.
Right.
Now, Trump has only been in office for 3 years, 4 years next year. So now the question is, in these, how close are the numbers? Sure, most likely, for sure, Obama has deported them. The Obama administration has deported them the biggest number of immigrants. However, how do the numbers compare with the first 4 years of Trump's administration?
Right.
So,
So
Nick?
our fact checker.
On Wikipedia, the most reliable source.
microphone.
On Wikipedia, the most reliable source, it says that the average daily population of detained immigrations had a low in 2016 and has been on the rise up to let's say almost 10,000 more.
So in 3 years, it has risen to 10,000. Like it has grown.
It went from like around 26,000 to 37 to over
Deportations per.
average daily population of detained immigrants.
Oh, detained.
Wow.
Detained.
That's a shit ton of people.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, the question is how
26,000
many
people
immigrants are
per
there?
day are detained?
That was back in 2016. Now it's over 38,000.
What the fuck? That's a lot of people per
Wow.
day.
Mind you-
I had no idea
Mind you
that
that-
the number was that high.
Mind you that they tried to do the whole caravan thing this year, so that could probably contribute to
There were
that.
multiple caravans.
Caravan?
Yeah, caravans, as in like mass groups of people trying to come into through the border all at once.
Yeah. Can see that.
So
Okay, I'll remind you to sow that coupon contribute to spell carrot mass groups of people try to come into through the border all at once.
What?
Okay,
What?
then.
okay, welcome to the
Bro,
All
something's
right,
wrong
Siri.
with
Wait,
your
which
Siri.
Siri was that?
You don't seem to have an app named Walking. We could see if the App Store has it.
What the
It's
fuck?
mine.
Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me.
What the
All
heck?
right, welcome to the FBI watch list.
FBI watch list.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so
So where
so
do,
the-
where did
the
Trump
bi-
camp start though? Like where did the whole like quote unquote Trump camp start?
the question I was gonna make is
I
whether,
know,
whether it's
But we
fair.
need to start with where
This is
why
happening
we are
since
doing
Obama,
this.
maybe even before Obama.
Yeah,
You know,
but-
so this was.
But somebody is saying something.
But all of a
about
sudden, it
Trump.
became an issue
Yeah.
when Trump is in
Actually,
office.
no, but something that big did happen. So back in May, April or May, it's not Sanders. I forget his name. That guy that looks like a fucking Smeagol.
boy.
Jeff
Still don't
Sessions. Jeff Sessions.
Jeff-
The Smeagol looking motherfucker.
Oh, you don't like him because he has like a smug face on
Bro,
it.
he does.
Yeah. See, I knew that. I knew it.
All right, but he announced that there was going to be a zero tolerance policy on illegal immigrants crossing the border. And since then, that's when the number of illegal immigrants that were detained at the border increased tenfold. And that's where all of the outrage started happening because of the separation of families. Because until then, if families were detained together, so if there was a whole family, an entire family, crossing the border and asking for asylum, they will be detained together until they could kind of process the case. But after Jeff Sessions said that,
There'd be a zero tolerance.
but anyway, so now, if I'm not mistaken, any adult that is caught crossing the border is prosecuted instantly, is going to go to court for a crime. I don't know the specifics of that, but because of that, because children and adults cannot be detained in the same while being pursued for a crime in the same facility, that's where children are being separated from their parents, and that this has happened since April and May under Trump's administration.
And it never happened under Obama's administration.
So families were put together. They were detained together. But since the
Yo, Nick, can you check on that?
zero tolerance
About what he's
policy,
saying? That families were kept together or separated. When did the separation started?
so as far as from the research that I did in preparation for this episode, that's when it happened. When Jeff Sessions said there was a zero tolerance, and the reasoning that Trump gives is because he wants to deter illegal immigrants from crossing the border first, and second of all, apparently, this is what the Trump camp is saying, is that there's a high number of people that use kids as bait and say that they're their own kids just to cross a border and to get into the United States with as asylum seeker. So they want to crack
happening.
down. Okay, sure. Anything can happen, Leo, but what are the actual numbers? And we have some numbers from our fact checker, Nick.
Trump does keep saying that President Barack Obama did initiate the policy of separating those children, though fact checkers have proven multiple times that is false.
That under Obama,
That
they
Obama
were
started
not-
They started the initiation. It was
so
not
it was
Obama.
initiated under Trump.
Yes.
Okay. So and that's the thing, and that's why people are all up in arms about these separations, is because under this administration, because of that zero tolerance policy, they are separating families, and they take sometimes weeks to months to be brought back together.
And
then in this case,
so
in
that's
this
where
case-
it started, is like the fact that there was separation, that it's Trump camps now because of how Jeff Sessions was being really strict on the policy that was
Yes,
So I'll ask-
this is a bigger, it's one chapter of a bigger novella that's been happening about the whole thing with immigration policy reform, because the Trump administration is doing everything and anything to try to get their agenda through Congress for their plan to be put into place. And one of the biggest parts of that plan is for the wall to be built. So they've been trying with the DREAM Act, canceling it for, out of the blue, with the mass deportation efforts across 10 cities. And now with this, separation of zero tolerance back in May, they're trying everything and anything to get the Democrats to the table so that they can come up with a plan together.
And so the question I'll ask you is, so do you think that this family separation, this situation going on right now, is this Trump administration responsible for that? Or do you think it is the parents responsible for that, for bringing their kids over to a dangerous place like that?
So here's the thing. First of all, when we're talking about these issues like this, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. It's easy for us as American citizens to point to them and look at these bad hombres, or look at these.
Bad hombres.
Well, I don't think it's bad hombres.
I know. I'm saying that for comedic release, but look at these bad hombres, or look at these immigrant families that just want to mooch off of our government.
With what he's saying is
it's about responsibility.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. So it's easy for us to say that, but there was a poem that I heard that if a mom or a dad are going to put their kids on a boat or on this pilgrimage to cross the border, it means that the pilgrimage is safer. Is safer than the land that they came from. So let's just suppose that a lot of these families are legitimate families, and they are seeking asylum. They're seeking a safer place. If they know the risks, which I'm sure that a lot of them do know the risks, and they're willing to go through that, it means that they must be fleeing some pretty harsh environments. They must be fleeing a very bad situation from home. So I don't think it's more out of a lack of responsibility, but it's desperation. It's a desperation to provide a better future for your family. Is knowing that your country is going to shit, is knowing that the situation in the neighborhood, in the city that you're living is just not safe for your children, and then you rather leave that and go through all of the dangers of a pilgrimage to the United States and the potential of have to be sent back than just staying where you are.
and to which I'll push back. United States is not the only country that they can immigrate to.
So okay, fine. Let's say if someone's coming from Guatemala, where the fuck are they gonna go, Leo? If they go down to Venezuela and Colombia, there's not much better, and you can't get to Brazil because of the fucking Amazon. And then Peru, you have the Andes Mountains, and then the Panama Canal. Well, the Panama is also not a very good country, and any country in Central America is not a very good viable option, and Mexico is also not the greatest. So where would you go?
So when you're saying that, what do you mean by that? When you're saying
Well, because he's saying Leo said that there are other countries for them to go to.
yeah, but you're saying that they're not viable options. So what do you mean by that? Can you?
There's a lot of
explain?
gang violence. There's, especially, let's say Mexico. There's a lot of cartel violence. There's some countries in Central America that are also just plagued with gang violence and guerrillas. Venezuela, we all know what's going on in Venezuela with the pseudo communist party over there. And so it's really tough. Where they don't have money to take a plane and go to Europe, or take a plane and go to, I don't know, Asia. I'm sure that a boat trip will be nearly impossible. So the only place that they could go is the United States.
So,
that's the only
so
option.
So you're saying that they don't have money to take a plane, but they have money to pay a coyote.
I mean, sure, it might be cheaper. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm speaking. I do not know what these people go through, but I'm saying.
But you're making a huge assumption saying that United States is the only place they can go.
Leo, learn geography. Like if that is.
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just pushing back.
And I'm pushing back at the fact that there's literally no other viable option around for someone that comes from Central America.
I would have to look into that.
I mean,
like,
just think about the map.
I want to take your word. Like, I'm not arguing in terms of geography. I'm just talking about in terms of safety. Obviously, like, no, it's not going to compare to America, of course. But will it be safer than the current situation that they're in? I'm willing to bet it is.
I don't know, Leo. I honestly don't know.
I'm not saying like it's the best. Like I said, I'm not like no other country.
Because it's like
to
you
America.
have to think about it. When you have kids, wouldn't you want to provide the best for your kids? Wouldn't parents be willing to do anything and everything to make sure that the kids have the best chance to have a better future, a better life than you yourself had?
I would push back and say maybe I wouldn't provide the best, but I'd provide better.
And what if better means that you have to leave your homeland?
If it means I have to leave my homeland, then I look for the safest way to do it.
And what if the safest place is the United States?
Like I said, it'll depend.
But my thing,
depend where I'm coming
my
from.
thing is that you're assuming that they have to leave.
Yeah, I am assuming that.
But
because I've met many immigrants that have crossed the border, and some of their stories are pretty terrible of the places that the situations that they're running away from.
And have you heard of the stories in Chicago
Of what?
of gang violence?
I mean, gang violence happens all over, but what specifically? What do you mean?
I'm saying in the sense of like you're explaining to me that they're running away from something that's far worse. Like when you're saying they're running away from gang violence and cartels and whatnot, that's still going on here. And the reason why as you're saying that, it makes me think of the man and his supposed child that drowned in the Rio Grande. And when you're saying that they're trying to strive to do the best for them, and then that happens, how can you say that that's the best for them?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like thinking as a parent, if you have to try to imagine the situation that they're running away from, is that if they are willing to put their child through that much danger, whatever they're running away from must be pretty terrible.
No one's denying that.
But I mean, don't you think that it's also it's almost as if it's I don't know, I want to call it a trend, but it's almost
Yep. Yeah,
it's not a trend, but it's almost as if you have to assume that you have to run to America if a tough situation is going on in your
Yeah.
country.
that's what I was about to say. Like, do they have to come to America?
Right.
But why do you think they come to America?
Because I'm assuming it's because they hear that America is the best place, freedom, land, blah, 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 blah. So they have this vision of their head of what America is supposed to be like. And maybe they're not fully informed about what's really going on around them. Maybe, obviously, like I said, no other country is going to compare to America. But maybe there are better, safer places for them to go other than America.
But let's be honest. The worst of America is the best in any of these places that you're coming from.
Wait, can you prove that?
I don't know. I'm making a statement.
The reason why I'm saying this is because because you have to assume a lot. Even though there are known terrible things that are going on, you have to assume a lot in order to understand where they're coming from. And I totally get where a lot of their stories come from, because I've like you've met and I've met, but I've also met people that are like, yeah, I just thought it was gonna be a better life. I'm gonna make more money here, and it's gonna be a better life for me. And what I'm thinking in my mind is they are paying coyotes. They're paying people that
We're
are
not cheap, by the way.
that are not people that are not the greatest. You would say they don't make the greatest choices, and one of those things.
Who, coyotes?
Yeah, one of those things is the whole idea of them bringing drugs over, because that's part of what they do.
They use
All
people
of
as
them?
meals.
I'm not saying all of them, but it's part of. I mean that. There hasn't been a proof, or there's no proof provided, because if a coyote is taken, he's taken and put in jail, and he's questioned afterwards. But as far as we know, that's what they do. They smuggle things over the border.
Even drugs or no drugs, crossing the border, is that a crime? Yes, it is.
Unless you're seeking asylum. If you're seeking asylum, it's not a crime to cross the border.
So what do you? So
And by the way, crossing the border is a misdemeanor. It is not a crime, as in the sense of, man, you have to go to jail for a very long time. It's considered, up until now, and our law expert can definitely double check on that, but up until now, or up until recently, it was considered a misdemeanor. I don't know if when Jeff Sessions declared that as no tolerance policy, if that changed, because now they are being prosecuted, but it is a misdemeanor where they're held in a detention facility for a few months, and then they're brought back to wherever they came from.
It has in fact been only a misdemeanor since the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965.
Okay, so yes, it is
1965.
Wow, it's been a while.
That's been a long time. That's a really good.
So it is
That's
not
a strong law, right
because
there.
you really have to try. You have to differentiate that. People crossing the border are not the same as people that are killing and they're stealing and they're doing a bunch of stuff like that. They still fuck this out. They still broke the law, but it's not as serious as other crimes.
Right.
In this case, would you say that the laws are outdated, since we heard 1965? Do you think it's time to update? And what are better ways or solutions that we can come to this problem?
And I think I have a question that'll help us kind of gear towards an answer to that. Is how when we're talking about immigration, the one thing that Donald Trump says is what? When we're talking about illegal immigration,
We have to get them out of here.
yeah, but who's them? Who's he actually specifically talking
He's
about?
talking about gang members, drug dealers.
Right.
He's not talking about the average immigrant who's working, paying bills. has
But
a
that's
family.
not happening. And that's the other thing, because let's say when he put out the order, I think it was last week, about the mass deportation effort that ICE was going to undertake in 10 cities, those were not going to be people with
criminal history.
with a criminal history. Those are people that had been called to a hearing by the judge, by their local judge, and they had a letter sent to them, and either they were in the process of going to the hearing or they missed the hearing, and ICE was going to go and grab those families and send them back, or not send them back right away. They would then transport them to a facility where they would wait for a couple of months, and then they will be sent back to
I'm pretty
to
sure
their
there's a
countries.
whole process with that though, like where they ask questions like how, like what.
No, they were going to, because they know that people that already had been called to be deported, they were just going to knock on their houses. They weren't going to wait anymore for a hearing or anything. They're just going to knock on their houses and grab them and bring them to the facilities for processing so they can be sent back home. So this later
Hilarious.
effort to deport a mass number of, I think it was going to be about 2,000 illegal immigrants, was not targeted against people with criminal histories. It was targeted towards families, people that had been summoned to be deported, to appear before the court.
Okay, and what if
And that's the difference between what a lot of people are saying between Trump and Obama. Obama mostly was targeting people with criminal histories.
Right.
Trump is just targeting anybody and everybody that is an illegal immigrant.
So then we can move towards the 1965 law. Is that actually liable now compared to then?
To charge someone across the border with a misdemeanor?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't think that's outdated.
What do you think?
Because, okay, so asking Nick again, and you don't have to do research just from
Okay.
your own knowledge, because Nick is a criminology major.
Criminology major.
Putting you on the spot right now.
He's like, why? Why?
Here to make my parents proud.
So Nick, if you are charged with a misdemeanor, what happens to you?
Pretty sure you just like go to court and it's probably just a fine. You're not serious.
And then you kind of let go.
yeah,
go
it's
by
not
your way.
like a
No.
felony where like
If
In
you're
some
charged with a felony, what would
misdemeanors-
happen if you're charged with a felony?
then that's pretty serious. You can start seeing like jail time and stuff like that.
So now imagine if the law were to be updated and every single illegal immigrant that crossed that goddamn border was charged with a felony. Imagine the cost that would be to put all of those people in detention facilities in jail to serve jail time to then send them back to their countries.
Okay, but how much is it costing certain American citizens their jobs?
Oh, what?
Their jobs?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, because
mean, what?
because illegal immigration, because they can hire cheaper labor
Yeah.
for.
Well, but sure, but like, do you guys understand what or if it was
No, I
if you
understand.
charge them with a felony, it's like
I'm not saying to charge them with a felony. When I say that the law is outdated, I think first of all it's a whole bunch of things that needs to change. For example, I think that they should still maintain the misdemeanor, because I don't think it's worth charging every single person across the border with a felony, jail time. That just costs too much money.
because that's kind of what's happening now with the zero tolerance the
But-
policy is that
With
everyone is just being detained left and right.
Yeah.
But I like, if one thing I changed in America is what some people are fighting for. I don't think undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants should have rights to healthcare benefits.
Okay, so I think we're getting off track because we were going to
Yeah.
talk. These
It's-
are all
it's-
interesting topics, but we're talking about specifically what's going on
Trump camps.
with Trump
and,
camps.
and this is the reason. I think this is like the root of all like immigration problem, because of immigrants coming in, and they already have access to all these benefits that comes out of our tax money, and I think I forgot which state. I think it was California or something. They are allowing undocumented immigrants to have a driver's license. So I don't think they should be having all these benefits because I think it's just honestly just like a burning money in a trash can.
Okay,
Like,
but again, that's a conversation for another day. But let's stay at the topic at hand with the Trump camps. And really the question is it okay for our government to be separating families, to be placing kids in their own detention camps and their parents in another?
I mean,
Because that's what's happening right now.
I don't think, like I said, just bring their kids over.
But Leo, that's okay. Sure, we cannot control what people do. Unfortunately, we cannot go in a caravan throughout Mexico, Central America, and be like, "Hey guys, please don't come. Don't stop coming." We can't do that. We can't not tell them to not come. They are always going to come. United States is one of the best fucking countries in the world. All right, and people are going to want to come here. The question at hand is it okay what our government is doing, separating families at the border, sending kids to their own detention camps and parents to your others, and separating them from weeks all the way up to a few months?
are they getting deported together?
It takes some. So apparently, I didn't look too much into this, but apparently, some of these kids are not even recognizing their parents anymore, and they're having difficulties matching parents.
Is that real?
Yes, they're having difficulties to match the parents with the right kids, and because of some of these kids, they are separated for a couple of months. When they get back together, the kids don't really, because these are young kids. I'm talking about like young kids,
like
2-year-olds. They don't recognize their parents anymore because it's been so long. So again, the question is it okay for a government to be doing this?
I think I don't see the strategy in it. I don't. Like, there's no strategy in separating families.
Other than deterring other families from coming over here.
Which is not working. So far, it's not working.
I don't know. We don't know what the whole idea behind it is, because it is too soon.
And Mexico just sent troops to the border to help out with the efforts. So,
but again, you guys,
I know
you're dodging the question. Is it okay for the American government to be
I
separating?
didn't dodge the question. I told you.
But he is. Is it okay for the American government to be separating families at the border?
Wait, you said at the border?
Yeah, because that's what they do. They cross, Anthony, because they cross the border and then they are separated.
Oh.
Is that an okay thing to do?
it's tough.
It is tough. It is very tough.
I saw this article from the Washington Post that I'm looking at right now that said that 29 parents last year, at least, got separated from their parents and they got deported and went back, and then they had to try to come back seeking like asylum to see if they can get reunited to their kids. So that means that they're also getting separated and getting deported after.
They're not being deported
They're
together.
not being deported together. In some cases, they have been deported separately.
It is not an easy issue, and there's not an easy answer, but you have to think about the kind of trauma that leads to those kids.
Sure. But I think the reality is that Trump is trying to do something about immigration.
The reality is that families were kept together before this whole debacle started.
Sure, but
why can't families
what I'm saying
be kept together again?
But what I'm saying is that the reality that we're talking about is Trump camps is we started everything. Before, it was a whole huge thing, not because Jeff Sessions, and now it's because we're separating. And what it is that Trump is trying to create some type of shock and awe on what's going on, because
Shock value.
Yeah, because he wants everybody to understand that of the seriousness.
But is the trauma that it's going to be caused to the kids, is that worth it?
What I believe is that maybe the shock that he's trying to get is not going to happen. Maybe what he's going to get is a reality check of, like, what you're doing is a lot more damaging to the families instead of helping the families get back home, as we call it. But I think what it is that when we talk about Trump, he's not the type of person that is thinking about people personally. Like you can see that with the recent debacle with Mexico. He didn't care like that Mexico was gonna be, I guess, quote unquote. You could say that they would be poor because people would probably not want to buy from them because of the tariffs are going to like 15%. What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because the tariffs were going so high, like he just didn't care. He's like, I want things done. He's that kind of person. He's like, let's get things done. Let's get things done fast because, first of all, his term's ending soon. But second of all, he had a plan and he wants to get it done with. And do I agree with everything that he's doing with that? No, not at all. I think that strategically separating families, I don't understand it. Especially with some families can't even get back together, and some families aren't being deported at the same time, which is so weird because the whole point is just to deport everybody that came over, like just deport as a group. But it kind of makes me feel like he just doesn't really care too much about it, but he wants to get the problem over with, kind of deal.
Honestly, for me, I'm on the fence on this topic because I did not look enough into it. Not that I do not believe Dre and the research that he's done or the facts that Nick threw out, but I feel like I've been only seeing one side of the story, and I need to look more into the other side. So for that reason, like Dre asked me, do you think it's okay for the American government to be separating kids from their family? And then I said, it depends, like case by case, because we said earlier that there are adults who are bringing in children pretending to be that it's their kid when it's not. They're just trying to gain leverage in a way to seek asylum or cross or whatever. So it's not a easy yes or no.
Yeah, but just to kind of like push back a little bit on what Leo said,
Okay.
because I up until last week I had no idea this was going on. To be 100% honest, so I am in no way, shape, or form a expert on this topic. Everything that I'm saying here today, right now, is from the little bit of research, a little bit of things that I've watched online, that I've read. I've tried to do to read and watch things, listen to things from both sides as much as possible. But I think no matter how much research we do, there's a few things that we can all be. We don't have to be on the fence about some things, and I think that this is one of those issues that, to me personally, there's no being on the fence. I think that being separated from families it's not okay, whether it's from immigrants crossing the border or from families that are already here, the illegal immigrants are already here. It's not okay to be separating families.
Yeah, I would agree.
If the government has the ability to keep families together, which past administrations have shown us that it is possible to keep families together, then we should be able to keep families together and come up with another strategy to be able to comb these fake families out, and not allow them to come in. But I think that what seems like that it's going on is that Trump administration is willing to do anything and everything to pass their agenda through. And it kind of makes sense.
What do you mean by pass their agenda? Because when you're saying pass their agenda, you have to be careful where you're going.
No,
with that.
I know exactly what I'm saying. Is
Okay,
Trump has a very specific agenda, which is, let's say, one of the biggest things is to crack down on immigration, illegal immigration, but it's also one of the biggest things that he has promised was build that wall, and he's doing anything and everything to build a wall.
So when we're talking about somebody's agenda, don't forget that the people that voted for it are wanting that what's going on. well, not what specifically.
Yeah,
is
but
going on,
it's
So-
his agenda, and of course the
When we're-
voters are behind him. But
yeah,
it's
so
his
when
agenda.
So let's be careful because like there are more people to it, and that's why I said be careful.
But Trump is the one that's running
and
the
it's
country.
not, but
He is
it's-
the president.
Yeah, but it's also not only him that wants something done about
The
immigration.
Trump administration. But
It's
however,
also Democrats that want it done as
yes,
well.
of course. But it is the Trump administration. They are using these, let's say, quote unquote, scare tactics, and these tactics. Oh my gosh,
Tactics.
that are on the fringe inhumane, borderline inhumane. Yes, I agree. Everyone agrees that there needs to be immigration reform. Everyone agrees. Whether you're a centrist, a Democrat, libertarian, or Republican. However, it is the Trump administration right now, that are using borderline inhumane strategies to get their agenda across.
Okay, here's the thing. I have a quote from an article. This gentleman decided to talk about Minnesota, and he was saying that in Minnesota, he drives by these ruins of a concentration camp, and
Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
The from World War II, the Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah. So as he goes past it, he was saying that he was thinking to himself like about what's going on there. This is my problem against people that have that have a problem with what Trump is doing with the concentration camps in general. Not to say that anything specific is wrong with it or isn't wrong with it, but to say that in general, having a concentration camp or a camp where they bring the detained so that they can then process and help them get back home, where they're saying that it's exactly like what they were doing then, and that was how many years ago? Like over
160.
Whoa, we're 2044
Like
all of a sudden.
1860.
No, the Japanese internment camps
I'm
went
not
in
talking about
in World War
I'm
II.
not talking about Japanese. He said that he specifically said it was 1860s ruin of a concentration camp there.
Oh,
that they-
for the
Korean? Russia?
Native Americans.
Yeah.
Native
Native
Americans.
So,
Native Americans.
so
Yes.
this was, and they were saying like it was terrible, like the way that they treated them. And I don't think that that's who Trump is. I don't think that that's what the administration is doing. I think that we need to be careful on what we're saying of how really drastically.
Well,
far
if you-
they're
The
going.
original question was, is Trump a Nazi? As in, is he rounding up people, killing?
That is the question.
Yeah. Is he rounding up?
that
is
is
he
for
out-
that is for comedic relief.
And
Yeah.
that goes really well with what I'm saying.
Like
yeah.
the picture that the Democrats are painting, he's like rounding up people, torturing them, separating them from families and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera.
burning them.
Okay,
poisoning them.
but to put
And
but
it's
to
like, this is
push
what the
back,
Nazis did. Like,
Okay, no. But to push back, there's only one person that has been making those claims right now because of these camps, and is it AOC, that lady, the crazy lady?
Yeah, we don't.
Going
we
in
no
with
longer
the
know
Gucci
what
watch.
her name is.
Like the past 2 days,
AOC.
I have binged a lot of liberal media and conservative media, and I gotta say they have not been the clips. Let me be very clear. The clips that I've watched, they have not called Trump a Nazi, or that these are concentration camps. Actually, CNN even went so far as getting the expert in concentration camps to clarify the concentration camp just means a place that holds people for a short period of time. Concentration camps are not death camps.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And most concentration camps throughout history were not death camps. However, because of the nature of concentration camps, people do die in concentration camps. And since 2003, I think it's nearly 200 people have died in ICE detention centers. Okay?
which is
because-
not much considering how much.
But those are still 200 people that were killed.
No,
Those
of
Okay,
course,
but,
of course.
but
of
then we're
course.
going to a different direction. That's since 2003.
Yes, in 16
Now we're
years.
saying
That's
in 16 years. So we cannot.
Yes.
This doesn't specifically point at
So it's not
what
like a
Trump is
pandemic.
No,
doing.
But
as in
I'm just
Trump camps.
I'm just talking about that these places they do something to your psyche. They do something to your person. And I was watching like an inside view of some of these detention centers for minors, and they're not very fun looking. They are like old Walmarts that were transformed into detention places. Like one of these detention centers in Texas, they only are allowed 2 hours of outside time, 1 hour of free time, and 2 hours of outside time. One of those hours is free time, and the other hour is physical activity. So for the other 22 hours, they're indoors. So that's not okay to do with kids. We're talking about kids. We're not talking about adults.
Yeah, but have they interviewed the kids there?
Yes.
And what did they say?
Oh, I mean, have they interviewed the kids? They can't interview the kids because one, they speak Spanish, and two,
that doesn't stop anybody from interviewing.
But two,
that's a little
Didn't stop the Democrats from talking Spanish.
I know.
The Democrats were talking in Spanish during the DCP.
No haya atacado.
But
you
two,
know where yeah.
for privacy issues, they can't. But they have. You can just YouTube detention camps for kids, illegal kids, whatever. You'll see videos of indoors. It's not. I'll be honest. It's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But it's also not a play. It's.
Would you compare it to what happened in Nazi Germany?
No.
And that's the question.
But it's still a concentration camp. As the word,
the
definition, it is, and it is a place. It's a place. It's not the Here's what I was. The final thing. No. But here's the final thing that I will say. It is not an ideal place for a child to be at,
or anybody.
I don't think it's
adults a little bit easier, but we're specifically. But you're right, Leo. Anybody, but specifically for children, especially if it's for, let's say, 5 days. Oh, okay, not that bad. Still can be a little traumatic, but we're talking about at this specific place in Texas. I can send you guys a link after. One of the kids had stayed there for 6 months. That's a long ass time being treated, and there's like very strict rules, which I understand. You have to have rules in these places to keep, let's say, to keep order. But still, imagine kids being treated almost as inmates and having to be subjected to rules that inmates are also subjected to, and having very specific times to play, to do this, to do that. It's tough. It's tough.
I mean,
not ideal. That's what I meant to say.
I understand and I get where you're coming from, but for that you have to go specifically like, hey, you guys just need to make it more fun for kids, and it's like, well, they're supposed to only stay there for like a couple of weeks.
But the problem, because the system is not very good, they don't stay there for a couple of weeks. It's not very fast.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Thank you guys for listening or watching, and the question is Trump a Nazi?
I say no, he's not a Nazi.
No, he's obviously not a Nazi, and he's not Hitler. And you can't compare the two because there's so many differences and there's so many different things. First of all, Donald Trump is not about socialism. He's not about communism, and he doesn't want us. He loves capitalism, so that's the biggest thing. And he's not as harsh as Hitler, where he created a whole.
And the other, just for us to be very clear, is it okay for the United States to be separating families at the border? I say no, it is not.
No, obviously not. And I think strategy-wise, and I think we all agree, strategy-wise, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
As voters, I think we should demand for a better strategy and continue. Yeah. And here's the thing: both sides have to work together.
Yes,
that is it.
Thank you.
Both sides have to work together for immigration reform.
For the Democrats for not doing anything at all, to the conservatives doing everything and trying to push as much as they can.
This is getting ridiculous.
It's
getting ridiculous.
So tiring as voters, so tiring as American citizens, because we just want some actual, some real stuff going on instead of two places at war. And I think that if the two work together, are one as we are supposed to be, united as one, because this is the United States of America. We're one freaking place. We're not two separate, agendas, or like Dre likes to say, is it two separate agendas where we go one way or the other? It's like we need to work together, and it needs to be some type of harmony, or things just continue to spiral out of control. Yeah. And we just want to hear from you guys. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think about the Trump camps. And we will
Shouldn't
answer.
even be really called Trump camps.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on,
why,
let's be
that's why I
honest.
said in quotation.
Yeah,
Trump
let's
camps.
be
Yeah,
honest.
Trump camps.
Let's call it the immigration camps.
Yes.
So-
the concentration camps. Thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're not watching this on YouTube, please think about subscribing, because you know what? We want to know if you want to continue to follow on with what we're going on. Hit that bell so that you can be notified that every time that we post a video. We do it once a week. And we also
Every Friday now.
Yeah, every Friday now.
And for those people that want to check us out on social media, because we do some stuff there too. On Instagram, we're at the Yet to Be Named. Twitter at the Yet, and Facebook, just type in the Yet to Be Named podcast, and you will find us. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play.
And we currently have nothing in our glass, but we're still gonna raise our glasses.
Actually,
Oh, you did. All right.
let's one last sip. One last
Yeah,
sip
we gotta-
here of the
We
sour
got
beer.
One little.
I'll be honest though, it's not as good the second time around.
Haha. So what's the rating now?
It's still a 4 though.
Ah, come on. All right. To the past, present, and future. May we drink to celebrate the past. May we drink to enjoy what is before us. And when the glass is empty, may it only be to start a new adventure.
Cheers.
Cheers.